What is an appraisal waiver and what does it mean for a buyer or seller? Hi there, it's Carrie Corcoran with JP and Associates Realtors. In DFW, we've been in a seller's market for quite some time. But in the last 3 months, due to inventory shortages, supply and demand have made an even bigger impact on the housing market. Being both a listing and a buyer's agent, I've seen firsthand how multiple offer situations are being won, and it's an appraisal waiver. An appraisal waiver is a component of an offer that includes 3 categories: a waiver, a partial waiver, and an additional right to terminate. The first option is a waiver. A waiver waives the buyer's right to terminate the contract if the property appraises lower than the contract price, and no matter what the appraised value comes in at, the buyer will pay the difference in the appraised value and the contract price. For example, if a property is listed at $200,000 and in order to win, the buyer offers $215,000 and the appraisal comes in at $205,000, the buyer must bring an additional $10,000 in cash to closing to bridge the difference. This $10,000 is in addition to the buyer's originally planned down payment. The waiver guarantees the seller to receive the contract price and is an open checkbook for a buyer. If a seller fears the property will not appraise at the offered sales price, a waiver is most ideal. From a buyer's perspective, it leaves them vulnerable, but with a huge competitive advantage over their competition. The second option is a partial waiver. A partial waiver waives the buyer's right to terminate the contract if the property appraises lower than the contract price by a specific value. For example, if a property is listed at $200,000, in order to win, the buyer offers $215,000, but the buyer states the property must appraise at $210,000 or more. If the property appraises at $210,000 or higher, the buyer will pay the $5,000 or the difference at closing. If the property appraises less than $210,000, the buyer can terminate the contract and receive their earnest money back. A partial waiver gives the seller a partial guarantee and gives the buyer a max out-of-pocket and a right to terminate. The third option is an additional right to terminate at a specific sales price. For example, if the property is listed at $200,000 and the contract price is $215,000 and the buyer states the property must appraise at $215,000, or the buyer can terminate the contract and receive their earnest money back. This option is usually used when a buyer is offering a large down payment. Without it, the lender's underwriter may still approve the loan if the appraised value isn't met and the difference can be made up with buyer's down payment. This option is an all or nothing for the seller and protects the buyer from needing additional cash at closing and a right to terminate. Bottom line, the DFW market is very competitive and buyers and sellers should understand their options in order to make the most informed decision for their family. If you or someone you know is thinking of buying or selling, our team is here to help. As always, we appreciate your referrals and bye for now.